Hmm. Hey, good morning, good day, good afternoon, and good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, and whenever you are. Welcome back to the channel. Birch Bay, episode number 9, and I'm your host, City Sculptor. This is likely to be our last major build episode for this series. The Birch Bay series that kicked off, let's call it a couple of months back now. And I've been working on the city personally for about a handful of months, and I've got some mixed emotions, right? I mean, some mixed feelings here. This has been my favorite city that I've built in City Skylines in all the years that we've been playing, and I'm glad I could have taken you along in part of the journey as we fleshed out a number of neighborhoods here in our city. Really loved this episode. And what we're looking at here is a part of town that I have tongue-in-cheek in a nod to the late great 007 named Sean's Cannery. And we're going to be building in a fishing harbor district in this area in what I think will be just a really intriguing industrial build with a lot of fishing assets. We'll obviously use all the fishing harbor assets along with the factory and the market and some more industrial vibe going through here, but it serves as kind of the southern gateway to our city as you're coming in from the outside world. But I hope you just sit back, relax, and enjoy the build. Should be a lot of fun. And with that as a backdrop, let's do this. Our first order of business as we start diving into this is really to come through and terraform the area. And I want to make sure that we've leveled things off, kind of smoothed some things out so that we can come in and drop in key walls. You can see there's some elevations here that need to be tidied up a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So just hang out, relax, and enjoy the landscape construction. Yeah, okay, see, that really helps out a lot. And the reason we did that, of course, was to just, frame it up a little bit. And it allows us to drop in some of our key wall assets. And the key walls I really like putting into this space, especially in a fishing harbor, because it kind of cleans up the shoreline a little bit. It also gives you some good anchor points from which to build. And Sean's Cannery, look at that. I can't get enough. This stuff writes itself. I mean, this is good stuff. All right. So our next order of business will be to drop in some roads from which we can anchor our quay walls and also our fishing harbors. So let's tackle that next. Now, as you can see, we've got some existing road network nearby, especially as it comes out of the old Steam Spray Hill district, and then, of course, the really the ending, if you will, of Chestnut Boulevard. And I'd like to use this area here to kind of work its way down here and use some of these road guidelines as anchor points. So with that, as kind of being our plan, I'm going to grab my gravel road here. And the purpose here is to just come on down and drop in some lines that we can work off of. And you can see that this harbor, I don't know, space, if you will, the actual shoreline doesn't match exactly the grid pattern of that road. We could come in here and we could tidy that up a little bit, and then just so that it comes off of the same grid and it's framed up nicely, because ultimately when you're going to be driving down into this development, you'd kind of like it to square off a little bit and look nice and neat. So let's set about doing that. We've got let's go grab this. And we'll raise this elevation back up just to bring it right along the road front here. So we got a nice, good, clean, consistent line on our harbor quay wall. And we can drop that quay wall in to start. That'll be nice. See, a nice, simple, straight quay wall to get us going. I like it. The next trick I want to try is I want to see if we can create a real sharp quay wall here. And I'm going to do that by running out with this quay wall here. We're going to turn off all of the guidelines and everything. We're just going to put angle on. And I wonder if I can just see how, what's the shortest distance possible I can make that. If I do that, look at how sharp that key wall becomes as opposed to the big rounded areas. And now we've got something to anchor our next segment of our key wall. Yeah, look at that. That turned out to a nice sharp little corner in there. I like that. And then now we can do a nice bend. What I'm going to do here is it's going to become a little bit more organic, but I have to be careful because we still have to get our harbor assets in there, and I don't think they like playing on curves very well. So we'll create a little bit of a curve here just to create some breathing room. We'll come back in with our road tool. We'll draw out a nice long stretch road here, and then we can come back in and terraform, if you will. Clean up the shoreline here just to straighten that out a little bit so that hopefully our next segment of key wall will be nice and straight as well. So let's just see what we get there. See if that allows us to do that. It does. Yeah, and so now you're getting a nice natural look and feel here. And I don't know if I want to take that all the way down to the end. In fact, I might just see if we can wrap this in, a nice gentle curve coming inland. Well, not too far. But there to bring an end to that key wall and then leave this point somewhat natural. I don't know, maybe we can throw in a little park down here at the end. We'll see. So now we've got a nice, good look to our inner harbor so far, and we can tackle the other side. So let's grab these. This is why I use that road network, because it really comes in handy. I want to come down here and build out to about there. And we can come in and terraform this off now. Now we're going to turn off everything except for angle. We're going to have that come out in the smallest increment possible, just like we did on the other side of the harbor, and turn everything back on and just draw right out to the end of that road. Now you've got a nice squared up inner harbor here. It should ideally allow for maximum placement of fishing harbors. Now our next step will be to kind of follow this, respect this curve here, and come in. And this is the little nook back in here where I want to have my fish farms, hopefully tucked out of the way so that they're not, in the path of all of our boats. So let's take a look here what we've got for elevation on this little curve, and you can see it's a little too soft actually of a curve. We're going to want to grab this elevation and bring this out, and then swoop that in there. And then come back in underwater here, and I'm going to take the tone of the brush down a little bit. I'm going to come back in underwater, grab some of this lower terrain, and push that down just ever so slightly. And in fact, I might even go on to grab a lower terrain than that and bring that in. Just push that down so that it creates more of a natural look, like a straight line look there. And we can come back in with our road tool and see we're going to be about there. And just for the purposes, again, of creating a framework, we'll do something like that. Can we grab our key wall now? And I don't know if the seas have settled down enough. They have. Look at this. Okay. So we can do that. And then this should be an easy tie-in coming right back down around. In fact, I want to bring it out just a little bit more. How far is that? Yeah, so I want to bring this into about here first before I do that curve. And then we'll just go ahead and bend that right in. So now it's a nice, gentle, more natural looking curve. Okay. We've got a good start here to this section. We'll just kind of continue down along here. We've got our road trick, right? We'll use that again over here. And I'm going to use that road and come out. Again, simply for placeholder purposes. It looks like we have some good, kind of good terrain to work with here. I'm going to smooth that out just a little bit, bring that out so it creates a nice straight line. Yeah, there we go. And we'll start our key wall again here. Should be able to follow this curve up to about, all the way to there, I think. And now we've got a good intersect point that looks like it's about 11 or 12 from each. Should be able to just tie that in, I hope. Yes, it does. It's a nice natural looking curve. So we'll drop in our fish farms down in this little alcove back here. And yeah, let's continue along this journey over here. We'll use our roads. Starting to flood a little bit, but that's okay. The residents of Birch Bay have experienced extreme flooding before. This is not the first time, and it probably won't be the last. Actually, maybe it will be. Oh, boy. Didn't think I'd ever say that. All right, we'll try our little short angle trick here. Oh, yeah. Well, it wasn't as short as the other one, but that's okay. Maybe gives us a little bit more character out here. Okay, and now on this end, I'm going to do just like I did on the other end. I'm going to grab this end piece. I'm going to bend my curve in so that it's kind of extreme. It doesn't really follow the shoreline anymore. It gives way to the sand, to the beach back here, and there you go. We've got our Sean's Cannery Harbor set aside. Now with our key walls in place, we can go about the process of setting up our fishing assets. And you may have remembered we used a little trick, a road trick in our harbor to just give something to anchor those roads against, or against the fishing asset, the harbor assets against. We're gonna use that trick once again. Come off of here, and I said I wanted to put my fishing, was it the fish farms? Yes, fish farms down in this little stretch along here. So you can see, by attaching to that road first, right along that key wall, it dropped that fish farm in there nice and neat, so we wouldn't have to worry about it tearing the terrain. And I think I can get, can I get 3 of those in there? Let's take a look. I mean, we probably can. The old adage, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be right about there for number 3. So let's do it. Let's give it a shot. Let's drop in a piece of road that's, say, about that long. How long was that? That was 240. Drop in our harbor, our farm, I should say, 240 again. Drop in another fish farm. And look at that. Voila. It does. It fits in there just right. Just makes it in there. And I think that'll allow for this road to have some clearance to make a nice curve around the key wall. So, yeah, I think that's going to be really nice. Those farms are going to be tucked in nice and neat down along this little chunk down here, and keeps them out of the way of the fishing routes. Now we're going to want to focus our attention on the actual fishing, the fishing harbors. They're specifically for fish type, and if I click here, we can see what kind of fishing we've got in the area. Looks like we're really heavy in the shellfish type of fishing area. We've got a little bit of tuna along this coastline here and along this coastline here, and then there's some anchovy as you get outside of the harbor and maybe down along the shore. So I think we'll probably focus most of our assets on the shellfish species of fish, and put those down here in the a couple of those harbors down here in the corner. We'll put in a tuna harbor along here, just to work through here, and then maybe an anchovy one that comes out and then kind of works its way out along here along the coastline. So, I want to get the tuna harbor in as close to the tuna as possible. Maybe, yeah, I think maybe I'll stay with that on this side here and try and work down this road, if you will, because I don't want to get in the way of the other boats trying to leave the harbor. So let's maybe start with that. Well, first of all, let's just see how big the asset is. All right, it's a tuna fishing harbor. If I put it in here, that's actually probably not bad right there. Drop it into that corner, and then it allows us to build a fishing line that runs down along here, takes advantage of everything coming out on the corner, and then comes back in. Yeah, so I think let's try that. So back to our little road trick, handy road trick. Right, now we've got the tuna fishing harbor in place. That feels pretty good. Let's jump across to the other side of the harbor, and set up our other fisheries. There you go. Now we're all set up. We've got all of our fishing assets in now. I think this should be enough. You've got 3 fish farms. You've got 2 of these shellfish fishing harbors. You've got an anchovy fishing harbor, and you've got a tuna fishing harbor. So that's going to be quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4 boats, 4 harbors that are sending boats out. That'll be quite a few boats. And if we felt the need, depending on how it'll be kind of depending on how busy this little inlet is, maybe we drop in a couple more harbors. We'll take a look, but I'll draw out the fishing lines, and then we'll see how that goes from there. I did decide an extra harbor was in order along this wall over here, but we haven't drawn out the fishing lines yet. So, I squeezed it in there. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's start with the tuna line, and we're going to want to stay as close to the shore as we can down over here, because that's where all of our fish are. Let's see here. I'm going to take and turn some of these snap twos off. Try and stay as close as I can to the shore. We'll come out and come back in as tightly as I can to some of these, some of these fish. Get in there nice and close. Okay. Let's see if we can get in there nice and close. And again, the idea is I want to keep these lines that are venturing into the mouth of the harbor, so to speak, as tightly together as I can, so I don't cause a bottleneck inside the entrance to the harbor. One down. All right, I'll start drawing these lines in. Just sit back and relax. Okay, now we've got all of our fishing lines drawn in, and I couldn't help but think to myself, it looks like a star constellation or something. Is that Sagittarius or something? Well, anyhow, we have our tuna line that runs along the shore here. We put an anchovy harbor that ran all the way down along the shore, kind of up towards our port, our big harbor, the port of Birch Bay. And we have 2 shellfish harbors, 1, 2 here that managed to squeeze out, one in this direction and one in this direction to capture fish outside of the inner harbor. And then our final fish harbor down here is lined up to, pick off fish here in the inner harbor. So all in all, I think we're going to generate a lot of fish caught through all of these fish lines. And, I think we're going to be in good shape here. So the next step will be to build out the roads. Let's go through here and clean up some of these gravel roads. There's a bunch of extra little roads that we had dropped in here just as, guidelines and so forth. We can clear out a number of those. We might want to use their patterns, though. And then we have to set our eye on this space up here. It looks like a little good spot to tuck away some of our services. And what we'll do is we'll come in with our bulldozer and we'll clear those roads out. And I'm just going to throw a couple little roads down here real quick, like just to, just remind me that I need to build in services up there on the hill. And then we're going to turn our attention to this kind of the road network. But I'm actually going to start down here. It's just kind of a strange way to do it. Maybe start from the back and work your way to the front. But what I want to do is, I'd like to do this in some of my waterfront builds, is just throw in a gravel road that runs along the quay wall there, and do the same thing. Let's go back in here. We're going to turn. Yeah. Sometimes it's really finicky on how it does those zone alignments. But we're going to do that, and we're going to come down here and do the same thing along here. Yeah, hopefully it does that just fine. It does. And I'm zoning on one side of it because what I want to do is, let's go into our zoning. And make sure that we've got organic turned on. Yes. Make sure we've got industrial evolution on. We do. And I'm going to grab a couple of these little, this commercial, and I'm just going to dot in some buildings. And as those fill in, they will kind of give us the impression of like little, just like little merchant stalls for some of the maybe the local fishermen that are coming into the area, because this harbor is filled with a lot of commercial fishing companies, but you probably have some boats in the marina or in the harbor too that would go out and make their own catch and then come back in and sell those in these individual stalls. And so, that kind of sets up the makings, if you will, of a bit of a, I don't know, kind of a square, if you will. And if I turn on all of my markings here, then I can draw, an industrial road that comes out. We'll just draw it out to here for now. And then let's see. Let's come in here, and my thought, what's going through my head, and I'm not even verbalizing it, but is let's build like a little square in here that has our fish market in this space. And if I draw this road across, say 20, let's go into our industry, grab our fish market. Yeah, drop that in there, let's just say. And come down, wrap that up. Oh, here. Do like so. Yeah, so we've got that wrapped up. And I can drop in some more little shops adjacent to the fish market, or maybe we just put concrete and decor around it. But it kind of gives the presence of a square, and then from that center of that square, I can grab just a regular, larger road and start working my way back up there and build out my road grid that kind of comes up this hill and then connects back to that other major road back up there. In order to connect that road, though, we're going to have to come through and do a lot of terraforming, I think. So I want to grab this elevation here, drive that up, grab this elevation and square that off just for now. And then let's figure out how that road's going to slope up there. We're going to come up, and I want to get this to come into about here somewhere. And then we'll decrease our brush size, come up into here and say, let's drag that down to create a nice gentle slope. And then from there, we can come in, grab some gravel roads. Maybe one comes off the centerpiece here, and start building out kind of a grid neighborhood back in here. Let's maybe come off there. And just repeat over here. Sure. And then you'll start to get that little, I don't know, wharf type neighborhood, kind of like this is going on here. And this has got some curve to it, but this is going to be very just kind of blocky, stodgy, small little residential homes along there. And of course, we can come back in here and tidy this up. Maybe I'll put another road in on this side just to mirror it up with some shops. And then, we're going to drop in some warehouses down along here. I think this spot here probably calls for, can we fit a medium in there? I mean, we can, absolutely, sure. And if we put fish, is fish enough? Yeah, it is now. Okay. So if we put fish in there, that could be a great little storage place for all the fish that's going to be coming in off of all of the, the fish farms and the boats coming back from sea. And then, of course, you've got the fish market right there that we can sell stuff at. As I consider the space, this area down here is most likely going to be some sort of a park. So let's, while we're here, go ahead and paint that in. Just, we'll come up with a catchy park name. And, we need a place for a factory. So maybe I'll drop it in down here behind these little fisheries. Would it fit in there? Let's take a look. It's a pretty good size asset, but it would fit in right there. And we can come back in and smooth that rise out. And does this road come down here? It connects straight in there. So, I think that could be our solution, right? We can just drive an industrial road down there. But I'm gonna want to come in here and just kind of tidy up the elevation a little bit as well. And then what we'll do is we'll drop in, some industrial evolution stuff. We'll drop in some waterfront shops and businesses. Just kind of a rustic organic market type environment. And then, yeah, I think it's really starting to take shape. One of the things I think I did here is I put that gravel road in. I want to continue that pattern down here, that thought down here. As we get to the kind of the edge of town, you're going to want to come out and just like this is where the town is kind of running out of steam, so to speak. You're getting to the end of the line, and we can put in a little small buildings back in there. Let's do sure, why not? Let's have an angled building. It's fine. But and then I can bring this hill back down a little bit closer into that space, and really have the terrain start to creep in. So when you get down at this end here, you're really kind of jammed in against the harbor, and I think that'll make for an interesting build. But yeah, it feels like we're going in the right direction here. Let's just kind of come in and tidy up some road stuff. Make sure everything's connected all up nice and neat. This comes out, connects into there. Do we have access? Okay. And then let's look at this. Does this give access into here? Is this a straight line? Boy, not quite, but it could be. Okay, so now we have full connectivity all throughout the district, don't we? Yeah. Okay. Well, this feels like a really great spot now to jump in and do a detailing time lapse, because we got a lot of work to do in terms of just, growable buildings. We're going to do a lot of detailing. We're going to build out that park, and we got to get our fish lines running too. So, which we already have. We got it established, but we got to hit play and let the game go and hope things don't blow up on us. Why don't you just sit back, relax, and enjoy the time lapse? We'll catch you after that, and we can chat through the build. See you in a bit. Okay, welcome back. Wow, this is Sean's cannery, and it looks a lot different than it did, doesn't it? There was a lot involved with this, a high amount of minute detailing, and so let's just jump right on in. I want to start with down here at the mouth of the harbor. You can see a lot of the fishing boats coming and going. These tuna boats are extra large, and then you get some of the other boats that are a little smaller. But you can see there's just a ton of traffic making its way in and out of this harbor. And I love the way that we framed this up. We've got some industry buildings, we've got some produce stands. This little building here with the little smokestack, I really love it because what I envision is going on there is maybe they're smoking the fish, like smoked salmon, smoked whitefish, smoked trout, whatever they happen to be catching. They're smoking it to preserve the fish and then getting it ready for market. So as we make our way along the waterfront here, you've got these little one square buildings, these little independent shops here. And I envision, as I look at one of these piers that's running out into the water, that these are just independent operators. Of course, you've got your big commercial boats that are coming and going and flooding the harbor, but maybe it's the small time operator that likes to go out and catch a few fish, bring it back, prep it, and sell it in their own little stands here. And of course, you've got produce stands, lots of weeds and rocks and overgrowth, just to kind of give it that feel of it's still kind of scrubby down here. You've got a gravel road, and it's just it's very loosely maintained. We'll just put it at that. Of course, from time to time, we weaved in some of these little marinas in here with some pleasure craft, and then I tried to give those access with these beautiful roadies as well. So, just a little pops of personal use as opposed to commercial use down in the harbor here. I put in a new road here as well. It's kind of a back road, if you will, that gives you a back access that winds its way along the topography to the road, the freeway that's exiting town. So it just was a nice little spot to take a little bit of the stress off of our main roads. And of course, you've got your fish farms, and then I want to draw your attention to our star of the show here on this episode, our big fish market. And it's really prominent as you come down the main boulevard down to the harbor bottoms, if you will. And as you come in here, we tidied it up a little bit, framed it with some of those little one-off shops like we did along the shore, but I also put in some cobblestones and some weeds and such, almost like it used to be more elegant, but it's breaking down over time, and now you've got kind of some of this rough, cracked concrete in here with weeds starting to grow through. But we dropped in some food trucks and soda stands, and you'll see food trucks all scattered throughout the district. And then I really took care to historicalize some of these brick buildings here, because I wanted to, since it's kind of an old cannery district, I wanted to give a nod to, say, its history and the fact that maybe this is a district that's been in operation for, 150 years or so. We did drop in our housing back here along the freeway, and very basic, simple, modest housing that, again, would be reflective of potentially the dock workers that are coming and going in this area. And you'll see a lot of retaining walls since we had some significant changes in elevation. I wanted to put in some boulder retaining walls and some overgrowth there, just to show that things are shored up and certainly not going to slide down into the harbor. We allowed some of these other industry buildings to level up to level 3, and I think they create a really great waterfront presence. This one kind of looks like a good big size warehouse. Another one back here, and then a little bit more modern look and feel. Maybe those are some businesses that are kind of reclaiming that space, taking an old business and I guess gentrifying the space a little bit, bringing it upscale a little bit more. Lots of little walking paths and decorative walking paths to create an inviting environment where the folks who live and work up on the hill here and are catching the train are invited and welcome to come back down to the harbor side and engage in the marketplace that we've got going on down below here. So lots of fresh produce, and you can see like little farmers' gardens and such. We put in a nice big park here that really calls attention to this peninsula, and it really brought some definition, and it was a good use for this space that was, kind of the end of the road, if you will, for Birch Bay as you head south out of town. And the other feature I dropped in there is this curvy walking path, gravel walking path, but I put in a bunch of campfires down along there. So at night it really lights up, and you can see the mouth of the harbor really clearly, and hopefully it prevents some of our fishing trawlers from running ashore here as they enter the harbor. So, let's take one more quick look down here too. We've got our big fish factory. Our fish factory. I relocated our tram depot into this space here, and then we've got our big fish factory up here. And as you're looking down this rise, it's pretty neat. They've got a good view of the harbor, and you obviously got a lot of productivity coming into the fish factory. And I think I think it's a really, first of all, it gets great access to get in and out of the community, but also it's a good anchor point. It really lets you know that, hey, you've arrived in the harbor. Well, that about wraps up this episode. It's hard to believe that Birch Bay is coming to a conclusion, but it's also exciting that we're going to be moving on to City Skylines too. This is probably my final major build for the city. I might come back in and do some little updates here and there, but it sure has been a lot of fun, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching it as much as I've enjoyed making them. So for now, I'm going to bid you farewell, and we hope to see you guys again real soon. But until then, good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.